Oh boy, disclaimer.
Welcome one and all to Simpsons Treehouse of Horror Countdown Review. Continue watching, if you dare. After two installments, the Treehouse of Horror specials were well on their way to solidifying their status as a Simpsons annual tradition. The first two Treehouse episodes were well received by critics and fans alike, and people couldn't wait for the next Halloween to see what else they could pull out of the bag. A hat-trick of great Halloween episodes would cement Treehouse of Horror as a staple of The Simpsons, so all episode 3 had to do was be good. Did it succeed? Well, we now have over 30 of these things. What do you think? So this episode begins with Homer giving us the usual warning that this episode might not be appropriate for younger viewers, and he does it in the style of Alfred Hitchcock Presents, which makes me a very happy chappy. Homer mocking religious types for being crybabies is also good fun. The wraparound of this episode is a Halloween party taking place at the Simpsons household. I gotta admit, it's a nice way to do it. Halloween parties when I was a kid were awesome, and this one reminds me of them. Seeing Marge use food items to tell a story of a dead witch is exactly what we would do at Halloween parties from my youth. Much like episode 1, the segments of this episode are scary stories told by members of the Simpsons family, and I'm all for it. Also, I just want to give a shout out to Flanders for his amazing costume and Homer's awful storytelling abilities. So Lisa tells us the first story, Clown Without Pity. This segment is definitely inspired by the Twilight Zone episode Living Doll and the 1988 slasher movie Child's Play. After forgetting to buy Bart a gift for his birthday, Homer goes to an evil trade shops and buys him a talking Krusty doll. Only one slight small issue. It's alive, and it's thirsty for Homer's blood. First off, I will give the writers some credit. They actually try to ramp up the scares. Maybe it's my fear of living dolls, but the Krusty doll is a bit creepy at points with his razor-sharp teeth and maniacal laugh. As long as you pull the string at least. However, I should put some emphasis on the word tried, because whilst a little eerie from time to time, this segment was mostly cartoony. And yes, I'm aware The Simpsons is a cartoon, but I'm talking Looney Tunes levels here. The premise of a living doll wanting to kill someone is only scary when it's deemed as a legit threat, which the Krusty doll just isn't. Hours of waiting and all he's doing is trying to pull out Homer's tongue? Okay. Still, just because it isn't scary doesn't mean it isn't good. It certainly hits home runs with its jokes, especially its abstract and random comedy. Why would Homer go into an evil trade shop of all things? Why would someone be put on hold whilst their husband is being attacked? Why would anyone want nude photos of Whoopi Goldberg? And the conversation between Homer and the shopkeeper is classic.
But beware, it carries a terrible curse.
Ooh, that's bad.
But it comes with a free Frogut.
That's good.
The Frogut is also cursed.
That's bad.
But you get your choice of topping.
That's good.
The toppings contain potassium benzoate. That's bad.
Some might consider the ending a bit of a cop-out, but I just think it adds to the comedy. Again, why would a company manufacture a doll with an evil setting? It's just so daft, I love it. There is genuinely some nice subtleties to this segment as well. A great example is the scene where we first see the doll come to life. At first, nothing is next to Homer as he watches TV, but as he leans forward and then back again, the doll appears. It's animation like that really sells it to me. I'll give Clown Without Pity a 7 out of 10. Whilst its scare factor is minute, it's full of delightfully daft comedy, and it's a fun parody of the now classic Living Doll story. King Homer is an obvious parody of King Kong. I amaze myself with my own intellect. And this is one of those segments where you wonder if they created the characters knowing they would be parodying King Kong. I say that because all the characters work in their roles. Put Homer as King Kong, Marge as Ann Darrow, and Mr. Burns as Carl Denham, and you pretty much have it made. Now, King Homer obviously wasn't going to muster up many scares. It's a parody of a 1933 film, for Christ's sake. But thankfully the writers knew that and decided to focus on the laughs. There is no other way of saying it. King Homer is the funniest segment of this episode. The writers really went above and beyond with the jokes in this segment. You have the women and semen don't mix gag, the Homer constantly eating everyone gag, the Mr. Burns gassing himself gag, the Smithers being eaten seconds after getting a raise gag, the reviews gag, the planes needing to refuel gag, the King Homer failing to climb the building gag. There's just plenty to laugh at. The show stealer though is Mr. Burns, but of course it is. Aside from Kang and Kodos, I can't think of a single character that suits the Treehouse formula as well as Mr. Burns does. There's a reason he's in so many of them. He's versatile and you can see him in many roles throughout the genre of horror. And have, now I think about it. The animation is stunning at points, the use of mist in the opening moments is chilling, and it was a bold but effective choice to animate the entire segment in black and white. If I had any real complaint, it would be Marge. She doesn't really do anything, she just gets grabbed and carried whilst occasionally blabbing on. There's no real substance to her character in this segment, sadly. Overall, I'll give King Homer a 7 out of 10. It hits a home run with its comedy, that's for sure, but it fails to give us an interesting performance from Marge, and I feel the scares were lacking too much. It's still an enjoyable segment though. The final story of the episode is told by Bart, and it is here where a Treehouse episode finally covers one of the most covered tropes in horror history: zombies. I'll admit, I'm shocked it took them this long to make a zombie segment. The story begins with Bart being told he has to find a book to read for his book presentation in school. In the school library he discovers the occult section, I'm not making that up, and finds a book of voodoo magic spells. Later on, Lisa shows that she's still upset over losing Snowball 1, so Bart decides to try and resurrect her from the dead, with unfortunate consequences. Now this segment is easily the scariest of the episode. Sure, it's tame for what was around the corner, but compared to what we had previously had, this is the first truly scary segment. Just look at how Flanders met his fate.
Why, Sudokes, you rascal. I thought you were dead and...
That blood-curdling scream is gloriously chilling. And the zombies look fantastically frightening. I've got to give props to the animation department for these lovely visuals of the dead rise. I like how the fresher zombies look more human, but with a hint of darkness to them. I think the scariest zombie is Principal Skinner.
Martin Prince, report to my office at once. And bring that big, juicy chess club brain of yours along with you.
And the darkness of the animation, the use of shadows, the groundbreaking, it's all just wonderful. It's not all about the horror though, because this segment is also full of abstract comedy gold. Bart's magic spell chantings, Homer not caring about the kids raising the dead, the fact that the school library has an occult section. Hell, the fact that the schools are still open when a zombie apocalypse is happening. Then again, they reopened them during a worldwide pandemic, so I guess anything's possible. One thing I always felt about this segment is just how little this moment is discussed. Homer actually puts his family first and asks the zombies to take him instead. It's a heartwarming moment. Also, the gag that follows is pretty funny too.
Rain!
If I had one issue, it's that the segment is literally split into two halves. The first half is scary, but the second Homer starts going Duke Nukem and shooting the shit out of everything, it becomes an action comedy. Yes, there were jokes in the first half, but they all took a backseat to the scares. And I'm not saying this bit isn't good, because it's bloody brilliant, but I just would have liked some consistency. Still, we got this classic moment.
Dad, you killed the zombie Flanders.
You was a zombie?
Dial Z for Zombies gets a huge 9 out of 10 from me. They really made the idea of zombies being loose in the diverse world of Springfield fun. I'd love to see a full 22-minute length episode of this. It's funny, but chilling, with a great musical score and visuals. Well, it can be officially stated that they did it. A hat-trick of brilliant Halloween specials. If Treehouse 1 was the first Halloween special and Treehouse 2 started it becoming a Simpsons staple, Treehouse 3 cemented it. And these episodes just keep getting better and better. Treehouse 3 ramped up the ante by doing what the previous two didn't. Adding some scares. The previous two are mainly focused on comedy, while Treehouse 3 was a great blend of both comedy and horror. And this would be the trend from the Treehouse of Horror series for many years to come. A solid 8 out of 10 from me. It's dark, funny, well written and animated, creepy and fun. Everything a good Treehouse episode needs to be. And that's it for this review and this video. Do you agree with my thoughts or disagree? What are your thoughts on Treehouse of Horror 3? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching and I'll see you next time.